Hi, and welcome back to Nikki Revamped. It's been a while, but I did want to just quickly go over some of the books that I read this summer. So after watching the television show Good Omens on Prime, I believe it is, I got really intrigued with author Neil Gaiman and wanted to read some of his things. So I found this book on my Goshen library, and I decided to take it home over the summer, and it was the first book that I read. It's called The Graveyard Book, and it is geared towards middle school students, maybe even like upper elementary school students, but it's unlike anything I've ever read, and it's makes me want to read more of his work. So I actually have some of them on my TBR pile now. The second book that I read is the third and final installment of the Summer I Turned Pretty series. This is actually another television show that I have seen the first 2 seasons of. Never read the books, but a student let me borrow this one. Those are her tabs. And I decided to give it a try. And again, great beach read. I just love the whole series. I love the characters. So this was a nice ending to that series, and especially because I loved the ending. The third book I read, I received as a gift, and I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. So this book analyzes probably one of the best characters in literature history, in my opinion, and that is Professor Snape. While I disagree with some points the author makes in this book, most of it is just really, really interesting, and I loved reading the analysis of my favorite character from someone else's perspective. So even though I didn't agree with everything, I really think it's worth reading, especially if you're a Harry Potter fan, and especially if you love Professor Snape. And then finally, I had to do it. I read the first 2 books in the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. And so, of course, I was very excited to read the third book. My mistake. So I read this book, and it only takes a couple of days. Her writing is simple. So even the first 2 books, which I enjoyed much more, it's simple reading, right? It's not a complex plot, but at least they made sense. This third book, The Housemaid is Watching, there's really nothing good I can say about this book. I did finish it because I just kept hoping that it was going to get better, but it was just very, very tedious. None of it made sense. In my opinion, clearly, McFadden knew that she had this momentum from the first 2 novels and had to dish out this third book quickly. In fact, let me see if I can find it. On page 323, I remembered the page number, she is talking about another, book, whatever, series that one of the characters is reading. And she writes, "The third in a series usually isn't that great." I mean, she's telling us she knew this book was awful. And so even if you enjoyed the first 2 books, I'm so sorry. Even if you've enjoyed other McFadden books, I actually have The Teacher, one of her other books, on my to be read pile. I'm gonna tell you to go ahead and skip this one. If there's any books that you want to recommend, want to tell me what you read, and maybe give me a suggestion, please drop it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all soon. Keep reading.